Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way.
Hey, it's Christoph Wrights, the host of the Poet Life Podcast, and I'm so excited. It's a Saturday morning. We usually shoot and record on Friday nights. Listen, we wanted to rest. Me and Chris Jones here. I'm Christoph. Are you Christopher or Christian or what's your full?
Christopher.
All right, cool. So you're a
Yes,
Christopher.
sir.
Got you. You know what? Let's jump right into it, man. Listen, everybody, this is Chris Jones. Listen, if you all haven't heard Chris Jones perform his spoken word, you've missed a lot. And just go to YouTube, man. Go to YouTube. Matter of fact, what's your website real quick? We're gonna start off like that. What's your website?
Poetrywithapurpose.com.
Already. The domain itself says a whole lot. Poetrywithapurpose.com. That in and of itself tells you what he's about. He's about purpose, man. He's not just doing stuff to do it. And I'm so excited to have him on. I've worked with Chris some time ago. I've booked him to perform at some churches, some events, and he kills it every time. Or I'll say he brings life every time. And so, Chris, man, how's life?
Everything is great, man. Blessed. Really blessed.
Yeah. I could tell, man. I see you going. I see you flowing, and I see you growing.
That's awesome. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Indeed. So when determining what our direction would be for this episode, it can go in so many directions when it comes to, what you've been able to accomplish in your poetry career. I'll say poetry career, not too many poets will say poetry career. And that's one thing that we're trying to change here at the Poet Life, is to get people to see that this is not just a hobby. It can be if you choose for it to be, but if you want this to be your career, you have to name it that, right? Once you name it that means you start taking actions that are aligned with that ideology, that mission. So I can tell that you've been calling it a poetry career for a good while, because you've been on a major mission, man. Like, where did you start, man? Like, what year, where were you in life where you started on this journey?
It's so funny. A lot of people ask that question because when they first catch up to me, it seems like it's an overnight situation. But this was 10 years in the making. About 10 years ago, I started out at a church called Life Church Ministries, and they asked me to do a second year church anniversary for that church. And I said, okay, I do poetry, but I write it down and read it off of a paper. And because I wanted to do something different for the church, because my life was also changing, becoming a bit more for Christ at that time, I said, man, I'm going to try to memorize it. I don't want to stand in front of the church people and read off of a paper and be all shaking and stuff. So I said, I'm going to memorize it. And I memorized the piece. The piece was entitled Writing for Transformation, which is also on my album Whole, which is on all major platforms, iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, everything. So Writing for Transformation, I wrote it. I went and I did it, and the church loved it. Everybody that was there. So, of course, it was a church anniversary, so there were other churches. So they said, can you come do that at my church? And so once I started doing that, it was almost like I was taking a whole tour of Glen Burnie, because our church was right on that Glen Burnie, Baltimore City line. So I was all in Anne Arundel County, and every church I went to seemed like it was another person from another church that was like, I want you to come do that at my church. And it just began to spiral from there, man. And all types of doors opened up. And before you knew it, this was something that I was doing that was keeping me about as busy as my full-time job.
Right out the gate.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was incredible. Like once that next video got posted. So what ended up happening is that happened, and I said, God, I need another piece because I got sick and tired of literally reciting writing for transformation. I'm like, God, if I say writing for transformation one more time.
But you were eating
I
off that
was.
one poem.
But I was getting tired of it, bro. I gotta confess. I said, man, it was serving me well. But I'm like, God, I want something else. And then he gave me the piece, a call to action.
Okay.
That's
All right.
geared
Before you
towards
jump
me.
to call to action, because I know how heavy that is. All right. So listen. So all of this would not have happened probably if you did not say, okay, I need to take this more serious.
Absolutely. I need
Right.
to take it
It
to the
needs
next
not
level.
to just be a recitation just because I write well. Right. I need to go up here like a professional and take down the paper. Now, and I always have to give both sides to it because there are poets that perform with their paper. And that's cool because there's still a way to present your art in a professional manner, even with a piece of paper.
Yes. And I've done that because again, we talk about opportunities. So multiple weddings, multiple birthday celebrations, multiple retirement
Right.
ceremonies,
Right.
where multiple graduations and inaugurations where people have asked me to come in, write custom pieces, and I'm not trying to commit that to memory because I'm only going to say it once. And so
Nice.
it's like, since I'm only going to do it once, I'm not trying to commit this to
Yeah,
memory.
I'm not going to take this space in my brain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for
So I say
temporary.
it enough times that I'm comfortable with it to the point where I don't have to stare at the paper, but I do have it there just to make sure that I make their event memorable
Got it.
instead of me trying to strain and lock it in and deliver. I take that pressure off myself.
So
So
with the paper, were you at a podium
yes, typically I'm standing at a podium and the paper is
you
down
can't
flat
even see the paper?
and you can barely see it, and
Got
I'm
it.
able to kind of reference and keep going and keep the eye contact with the crowd because that engagement part is everything when it comes to poetry, as you
The
know.
engagement.
Once you got the crowd with you and you're able to engage, you're not just head down the entire time, man. That makes a difference. My wife, she said something. We were at a it was like a Disney themed Christian singing like type of event, and it bothered her that the people that were there, which we paid money for their tickets to get in, were reading the lyrics off of the phone. She said, "You telling me we paid to watch you guys read off of a phone? You didn't take enough time to familiarize with yourself with the lyrics well enough that you don't have to just stand there and read off." And that's what I want to avoid. I want to encourage everyone to avoid.
Right.
If you're not going to commit it to memory, because I don't even believe in committing everything to memory, familiarize yourself with the piece enough where you're not just engaged with a piece of paper or your
Right.
phone, where you
Right.
can still engage with the people who are there.
Now, all right. So even if you're not, like you said, the musician, the singer, even if you're not at a podium and you can't hide the paper, right? You can at least get, you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Like,
So let me tell you, my wife, again, she dope. She said, "You need a folder."
right.
I'm like, I don't need a folder. She like, "I'm telling you, get a folder." And it
Go up
makes
there,
all
professional.
the
Yes, yes. See, this looks professional.
indeed.
And for the folks that are listening on the podcast, I just pulled up like a folder as opposed to going up there with a piece of paper, like the paper's folding and falling over. But if you go up there with a folder with the paper on the inside, it looks more professional.
Indeed.
It's almost like those formal what is it?
Like an orchestra,
Like
somebody, like a composer looking at
exactly
his
the
composition.
composer. That looks professional. He's not up there with a falling piece of paper.
Yes, because you watch the composer try to pick up a piece of paper during the orchestra, you're gonna walk out.
Exactly.
That's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, there's a way to do it. And
Indeed.
there's a reason why you can and should hold a piece of paper. Right. So that's good. One of those reasons is what you said, is if it's a custom piece, familiarize yourself with it so you can continue to engage with your audience. But now, if you're a fast memorizer and it's nothing to you, okay, cool. Then do what you do. Yeah. But you're flowing and going and growing, and you got a gig tomorrow too, and you gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Indeed.
Focus on that too. Go ahead and write that thing, type it up on a piece of paper, but get your folder so you still look professional. So I'm not gonna stay there, but what I really like about what you said coming in to this conversation was, one, you took it serious from the gate, from the beginning, but you also went in with let me make that a question. Did you go into the opportunity with the expectation that there may be people there that may want to book you as well, or was that a surprise to you?
That was actually a surprise.
Okay.
Because up until then, I did poetry, and then I did a few open mic events, and people would always tell me, even then, back in high school, back in college, like, man, that was nice, that was dope. But I never really, it was like, all right, okay, I'm pretty good at this. That's all I saw it as. When I was asked to do it for the church, I'm like, I'm doing this for God. And so I really want to take it to the next level. But it wasn't a thing where take it to the next level so I can get booked for more things. It was take it to the next level so God can be pleased. And once that happened, I really wasn't worried about pleasing, I guess, man per se, but pleasing God.
I see.
God then poured right back in and said, well, look, this is what I'm going to do now. I see where the heart is. I wasn't coming in like, all right, God, let's go ahead and let's get these racks up. That ain't it. That's just not it. It was like, God, I just want to be pleasing to you. He was able to see my heart. And then I believe that's what opened the door for new opportunities. That's when he started strategically placing me in places where people were. And then all of a sudden, it starts turning over. You can't even stop it at that point in time.
That's so good. So have a bigger why, have a bigger purpose for why you're doing it. If so, Chris and myself, we're both Christians. We're both men of faith, and so what he's saying is he didn't do it just to get more gigs. He did it to please God, and God then rewarded him with more opportunities to continue pleasing him.
Indeed.
And so okay, for those of you who are not people of faith or whatever, still have a bigger why, have a bigger purpose, right? So if you're going in and the cause or the theme of the event is domestic violence, right? You, on the same level playing field, go in wanting to impact a life.
Yeah.
Right.
Help people. Indeed.
Go in there with your words. Your words are your tools that you'll use to help someone. And you're not going to do it lackadaisically, right? Like you really want to impact their life. So you're going to go in there and give it your all. But in turn, that will then show someone that has other opportunities that, oh man, he or she can do this on another level, and they can do that for my event as well. So that will create more opportunities.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, just don't go in there and just do it to do it. Have a reason why you're doing it. Have a bigger purpose. Poetrywithapurpose.com. That's heavy. That's. Do you get that question a lot? Like, why you named it that? Why you named your company, your website that?
I don't get the question a lot, but there's definitely an answer behind it, because literally when I was trying to figure out what I was going to name my website, aside from it not being something that's already out there, was that I wanted my poetry to have purpose. I didn't want it to be purposeless. And I've heard poetry that lacked direction, lacked a motivation. And so it's like, it's good, but what is it trying to accomplish? So again, we're men of faith. Scripture says that every word that God speaks goes out and it accomplishes what it's supposed to accomplish. And that's what I want to mimic. Every word that comes out of my mouth, whether it's a piece to men or a piece to women or a piece about Easter, I want it to accomplish something. I want you to see this in a different way, in which is impactful, that may change the way you view a certain thing.
Yeah.
So it has a purpose behind it at that point in time. I don't want anybody to walk away from a piece that I'm doing and go, that was all right, and then I'm gonna move on with the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's all right. So matter of fact, real quick, what's your Instagram?
Instagram and Twitter is the same handle, at I am Chris Jones, the number 2. So at I am Chris Jones, the number 2.
All right. The reason I asked that, as you see there, I wanted to change the name on your screen to your social media handle. So when people are watching this, they can just straight up go to your page and follow you. All right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, most definitely, man. No, that is key. That is key. So we have the uplifting of the poetry community, and we have the building the poetry industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with those two entities or those ideologies or those thoughts, some people in the community don't subscribe to writing for other people, writing for capitalism, air quotes for those listening, right? And they want to write what they feel and all of that, right? And that's cool and that's good, and you should. But also on the poetry industry side of things, there are poets that want to make this career, and so with that, they then take on jobs that have a commission to it. A commission meaning they've committed to writing a piece to a theme or a topic for an event or an occasion. It sounds to me that, one, I believe that you have both sides to you. I'm sure you write for yourself, just poetry for yourself, how you feel and everything.
Indeed. So, of course, what's in you comes out of you, no matter the topic.
Ooh.
And so I've been asked to propose to gentlemen's fiancés for them. And if love is not in me, love is not going to come out of me.
Oh, that's good.
I've been asked to do funerals. And so if compassion and empathy is not in me, it's not going to come out of me.
That's very good.
And so no matter the topic, what's inside of you, what you feel, how you carry yourself, what's in your heart is going to bleed out. It's going to come out. And so if you really want to be professional, there's going to be some gigs that if it's too far away from your realm,
That's
too
good.
far away from who you are, you need to be professional enough to say, I have to decline this offer because
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the best suited to speak on this topic.
Very good.
And it's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Like, really, like, not everything should be a yes.
Indeed.
If it doesn't align with your morals, your faith, your thought pattern, whatever it might be, then let that be a no. And really, if you're really about your business, not everything, period, should be a yes.
Can't say yes to everything.
You can't say yes to everything. And I know at the beginning you want to, but to set the standard for yourself, you shouldn't.
So obviously what happened is this thing exploded for me when I did the men's day at Faith Christian Worship Center.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I want to say 95 or more % of people came to know who Chris Jones even is. Gary Johnson, the pastor there, puts his iPad up and starts recording me as I am ministering. I done posted about this several times. If you go to my social media, you can see it. I really, really give him a lot of credit, him and the Holy Spirit, for even launching me into this ministry opportunity that turned into a career/business opportunity as well. He said he never records for longer than 30 seconds. And I remember going into his office and he showed me clip after clip, 30 seconds, 12 seconds, 18 seconds. He said the spirit wouldn't let me put the iPad down. He recorded the entire piece, pretty much almost the entire piece. It was 9 minutes and like 49 seconds. He posted on his page. I went home that day. I even make jokes about it. I was probably at one of the lowest points of my life. I had on a hoodie,
Right.
some crunchy khakis. They weren't even ironed all the way.
Right.
And these brown shoes that my wife wishes I would throw away so bad. But I told her, I said, these shoes are so symbolic of where I came from. I can't throw them away. Like, I gotta keep them. I don't wear them ever again, but they're just in my closet because I never want to forget. She's saying, right now, I never want to forget that day where I was, so that I can never start feeling like I'm above anything. Like, that's so weird to me. One of the things that I love about the story of Moses encountering the burning bush is that God asked him to take his sandals off. And there are many ways to look at that. But one of the ways I look at it is that God wanted his flesh to make contact with the dirt so that he can realize exactly where he comes from. You are in the presence of God, and I don't even want the thin little sole of your sandal to make you think that you are higher than you really are. Make contact with this dirt, and then I can start working with you.
That's a poem right there.
Wow. On that. But
wow.
I keep those shoes to keep contact with the dirt.
Hey, that's a humility piece right there.
Yeah. So once that went up, Pastor hit me on that Wednesday, because that was a Sunday afternoon. He hit me on that Wednesday and he said, man, 5,000 people then shared this video. And I thought he was joking. You know how people can say, like, man, like 1,000 people did it, but
Right.
it's really like, 100. So I went and checked. I didn't say anything. I said, the normal answers, man, to God be the glory. Thanks, Pastor. Thanks for the opportunity. The normal stuff. Friday night, I said, well, let me check, because that was Wednesday. Friday night, I went and checked. It had went up to 10,000 people that had shared it. I said, what in the world? So then I said, hold on.
Now, wait, 10,000 people watched it or shared it?
10,000 people had shared it.
Good gracious.
On Facebook. And that was within a week. The last time I checked, it was up to 38 or 39,000 shares total on just Facebook. That's not counting anywhere else it ended up. And so that started that major push to put me in places outside of Baltimore, outside of the metropolitan area. People started calling from everywhere. And before I knew it, I was on a plane to St. Thomas. That was my first oh man, this is crazy.
This is real.
I didn't know how to handle it. Them telling me, we're going to fly you in. We're going to put you in a really nice hotel. We're going to pay for all your food, and we're going to give you a check.
Come on, man.
I was like, it's like a fairy tale. All because you want me to come and do my poetry? It was incredible. And so from there on, it's been a constant push to make this more professional. It started with me getting my LLC.
Okay, here we go.
Gotta get incorporated, because if you're going to be now signing contracts and things of that nature, you need to provide yourself with some protections. I'm now since moved on to having an S corp, because an S corp provides you greater tax relief for your business, and so you can do a lot more with it. And so we now have an S corp. I now have an executive assistant. You got to filter out some of the things. And listen, if anybody who's listening, I started out as a one-man band, I promise you.
For a while.
I took all the calls. I did all the logistics. I worked out every little detail. I drove to places. I drove to North Carolina for engagements. I drove like crazy distance. I drove to Dallas for a engagement to try to grow like a company that was based off my poetry.
Wow.
And it's like I had to do all that, driving to Syracuse, saying yes. We talked about that. I said yes to everything when I first started, because I wanted everybody to hear me. But then once I got to a certain place in my career, I was able to say, no, this isn't quite the thing that I need to do at this point in time. I've been hearing it and still hear it, which is weird. And I just want to talk to my fellow poets out there. Be careful when someone just wants to get you exposure. Be careful when someone only wants to get you exposure. At some point, if you've put in the work, you've put in the sweat equity, you've driven places, you've flown places, people know your Twitter handle, people are responding on Facebook, they're responding on Instagram. You don't need too much more exposure. At this point in time, this is where people need to sow into you because they want you to sow into them.
Right.
And that's where and it's up to you on how you determine that. But certain things isn't worth just exposure when you're already exposed. You can't call TD Jakes, you can't call Joe Osteen and say, hey, come and do this because I want to give you exposure. They're already exposed. You can't call many poets I can name. You can't call them and say, hey, this is going to give you some exposure. We already know you are contacting me because you are exposed to me. This is why you are calling me. So be careful with that. And I weigh it. Some things I do for absolutely charity. Like, okay, you don't have anything, that's fine. I want to do this event. But just be wary of that. Just be cognizant of that. Be keen, and then have your own method.
There you go. I was waiting for that. Yeah. So have your own method, meaning, okay, this is not paid. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come with my own
Indeed.
person with the camera,
Mhm.
and I'm at least going to allow this to build my portfolio.
At the very least.
I'm going to
Okay,
come
you
in with
guys.
my contact information, my business cards, and I'm going to network while I'm there. And when I kill it, it's just going to create more opportunities that then will be paid opportunities.
This is why you have to, every gig, give it 100,000%.
I don't
Every
care
single
how
one.
small the venue is. I don't care if it's one person in there. That one person.
Man, I was just getting ready to say that. I mean, literally. And I think you know me by now.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 2 people there.
Still.
I'm going to be the same way. There will never be a lackadaisical piece, because I never want. Michael Jordan said this. He said, I play hard every night because there may be a chance that there's one person in this crowd that has never seen me play before. And I took that to heart once I heard that. I'm like, oh, no. I don't want anybody to be like, it was just all right.
It was all right.
Because once that happens, you begin to fall into a mediocre category. And now you're just like many others. And I never want a gift that God gives me that's purposed directly for me to use to impact people to ever be considered mediocre. Nothing that comes from God is mediocre. So the only thing that can make it mediocre would be me. And I don't have time for that.
Wow.
I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna give you 100,000%. I remember traveling, and this is so crazy. God rest his soul, Trevor Anderson, one of my really, really good friends. He passed away, and he traveled with me. We had 3 different engagements in 3 different states. We started out in Maryland on the same day. We started out in Maryland, 8 a.m., way down in like Prince George's County. We left from there, drove all the way up to New Jersey, and did the Metropolitan up there. We left New Jersey, we went to Philadelphia and did an event. It was a huge event. The guys who, and I'm forgetting their names right now, and it's a family, the Baxters. They have like a social media kind of family following out of Philly. The Baxters, they say, come to the event and we'll put you in. Well, that's not exactly what happened. When I got there, the place was packed because everybody was there. It was a bunch of names. People, Vashawn Mitchell was there. It was a bunch. Uncle Reese was there. It was a lot of people there.
Hard in the paint.
And so I was thinking, yes, sir. I was thinking, man, if I get in front of all of these people, it's about to be great. And I think God showed me something that was incredible that day. It's not about you, Chris. I didn't get on that stage until everybody had left. It was me, Trevor, the 2 organizers, which was the Baxters, the husband and wife, and maybe like sprinkles of people who were just hanging around. And I went up there and I ministered like that place was full, like when I walked in there. And from there, I got an engagement up in Syracuse. From there, I got engagement out in Las Vegas. And it was like, oh, okay. And then once I started networking in them 2 different places, before you know it, I'm being invited all over the place. But it's about giving it your everything every time. And here's a question. What is it going to cost you to do that?
Effort, time.
Oh, that's it. It's not going to kill you to go hard every time. And it's actually going to help you because there just may be one person there that goes, okay, I'm going to go and talk. Perfect example. It wasn't a big time pastor that was at one of my events. It was a deacon. of a church, New Shiloh Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
He's there. It was a men's breakfast, prayer breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, I never seen anything like that. I want you to come do that at my church for a conference. I had no idea what the conference was. He said it was the end of the summer. We do it every year. I said, all right, wonderful. I get a call from his pastor, the pastor of the church, Harold A. Carter. Harold says, hey, man, one of my deacons swears by you. Let me check you out. Where can I find you? I said, I can do something for you right now. He said, oh, that would be even better. Ooh. And so I went straight into the piece. He stopped me in the middle. He said, look, stop. You're going to come to this conference. I go to the conference. Little did I know, had no idea, Dr. E. Dewey Smith was the speaker there for the conference. So he put me up on the Friday, and I went and I did my piece, and he gets up afterwards and he says, and this piece is on YouTube to check out that exact place. He says, I'm going to take my pastoral privileges and invite you back the next day. Mm. So now I'm on a platform with E. Dewey Smith 2 nights in a row. You know how many people watched that?
Yeah.
Even pastors from this area were coming out dressed like they were going to like a mid-90s Tyson prize fight. Like they had on 3-piece suits and everything, right. Because at that point in time, Dr. E. Dewey Smith was that guy. I mean, I didn't know. I had no idea.
Right.
I had no idea. I walked into situations, bro, where I didn't even realize, shamefully, like, what's his name, baby? We went down there. The Lord is my light and salvation. William Murphy. I figured it out.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I'm not into names like that.
Right.
And so I got invited to an event at your church, Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
And William Murphy was headlining, but I had no idea who William Murphy was. I didn't know. Now, of course, I knew the Lord is my light and salvation. Whom shall I fear? Who shall I be afraid? I knew that song. My mother listened to that song, but I didn't know William Murphy wrote it. And so I put up a post. I said, hey, I'm going to be at New Samaritan, and William Murphy will be there also.
And look, I saw, like, I've booked you several times at my church, and I saw that. I was like, hold on. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that you were performing at my church.
Yes. Because another gentleman from what's the movement, the Full Gospel movement, that is affiliated with your church, heard me somewhere else and then plugged me in with the Full Gospel movement.
Heavy.
And I'm like, and again, that's the whole point that we're trying to push. Be professional. Make sure that you are networking. Let your life reflect the message that you're giving out. Because we have some poets who their life and what they show on social media
completely
looks a little different than the message you're trying to give out. And it takes away your credibility.
If I can get poets to understand that, like I literally want to hire more poets, but I can't because
that's tough.
I can't because especially with the Poet Life Academy. It's kids.
You're impacting kids. And then they're looking up to you. Just like the situation that you blessed me with the Easter situation.
Yes.
I ended up mentoring those kids. We worked on those pieces together. And so it's like, I can't have you following Mr. Chris and you go to my social media and you see some craziness that don't have anything to do with the person that you met.
Yeah.
You lose credibility.
I'm shackled at my hands and wrists by the number of people that I cannot hire. There's only like 3 or 4 in this area, or just it's only a few that I can hire and not worry about a parent or a pastor or teacher saying, look, that teacher that you sent to our school, our church, our whatever, he was great at what he did, but don't send him back here. Because the kids, the parents, they're gonna go and look, not just to spy, but to say, man, he was awesome. Let me follow him.
Yes.
Right. And then when they start following, they're like, oh man. And they're not looking at him per se, they're looking at the Poet Life.
And let me tell you the flip side of that. Not only are parents going to go and follow out of enthusiasm, but potential gigs will look at your social media,
I'm telling you,
before they even reach out.
I do it all the time.
Practical thing. New Psalmist Baptist Church wanted me to come in and teach a seminar to the youth. The seminar was entitled Dream Out Loud. And so I did a piece entitled Delivering Content Confidently. It wasn't a spoken word piece. It was a presentation about how to deliver your content, whatever it is, whether it's being an usher, whether it's being a musician, a poet, a singer. How do you deliver your content confidently? And I was told by the person who began to put that together for me, he said, yeah, you've already been vetted by the church. I said, well, what does that mean? I didn't know. At that time, it was the first time that ever happened. He said, they already investigated you by going through your social media and allowed me to pull the trigger on this. Like, I submitted your name and they started investigating.
Yeah.
And so someone could want to give you a great opportunity like that, being at New Psalmist Baptist Church. That, I mean, just there alone is a lot. It helps a whole lot.
Yeah.
But if they go to your social media and it look crazy and it don't look like it lines up with all the wonderful things that people are saying about you, because that's the reason why you're being brought up in the conversation. They're going to go, yeah, no, you can't bring him.
You can't bring him.
You can't. Nope. Can't do it.
Because we know at the event in the church, people are on their social media. So as you're performing,
they type in,
he's killing. Let me go to his, and then you got, all right, man. So you get the gist, man. You get the point for those listening and watching, and reading for the blog. It's not just social media, because I know people will say that's their go-to response. It's just social media. No, it's not. What you post is what you speak. What you post is it's basically a mirror to what you think.
It's a reflection, literally, of you. Again, what's in you will come out. Scripture tells us this. Scripture says it's not what goes into a man's mouth that makes him unclean. It's what comes out of his mouth, because what comes out of his mouth comes from the abundance of the heart, which to me symbolizes a spiritual iceberg. What comes out of my mouth is just the tip that you see. But everything that's underneath, what you know, is much more deep and complex. And so if I let out a little bit of foolishness, there's probably a lot more where that came from. So it's like you got to be super careful what you post. To the point now, I don't, and thanks to my wife, again, my wife got me right, man. Connect with the right person. Because that can hurt you too. I just watched a social media post from Steven Jackson. He's a basketball player, does really, really well in his post-NBA career. And he said that the San Antonio Spurs did not want to re-sign him to a championship team because of who he was dating. Not because of his skills, not because he didn't help them just win a championship, but they said, man, the woman that you're dealing with,
it's going to bring a whole lot of drama to this team, and we ain't got time for that.
They said that she's rubbing the other wife, having a bad impact on the other wives and all of that. And it's just like they were trying to help
virus.
But unfortunately, he didn't see until a lot later the type of person she was. But he ended up seeing it, but they was trying to help him. So again, connect with the right spouse. All right. That's what I'm trying to say, because my wife, she helps me in such ways that it's incredible. Like she will say, hey, look, I need you to do this, or I know a little bit more about like this whole church thing, because she grew up in the church.
And your wife is an artist as well.
My wife ministers through dance.
Yeah.
And so she's incredible at it too. And like we've done events together where she would dance and I would do my poetry. I would preach, she would dance. And again, that opens doors. You do one thing excellently, people begin to think you can do other things excellently. You can go on tour excellently. You can preach excellently. I'm going to go lay down a verse today to be on a song with Pastor V and Selah the Corner from God Over Money. All of a sudden, you can rap excellently. You can give seminars excellently. Whatever it is, you can teach our youth at the church excellently. All from seeing you do one thing. Just dedicate yourself to the thing that you love, your craft, and I promise you, it will open doors for you. But connect to the right person, because she'll be able to tell you, he'll be able to tell you, hey, I think you should do this. They're supposed to be your helpmate. Or don't post this. And that's where my wife really helped me. Talking about that social media piece. It's not just social media. Don't post that. So now, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's nothing negative on my social media.
Yeah.
Ever. I have difficulties in life. You know what I'm saying? I have things that
I get mad.
Yes, I'm a human being. You're not gonna be able to tell from my social media.
Right.
You're not gonna know that I'm having a bad day. You're not gonna see no laughing, crying emojis, none of that. Even when I had to post about my friend unfortunately passing away, not no 15, 20 crying emojis behind that and all of that. I'm not doing that. I can't do it because it shows a pattern. Not saying that you are this way, but there are people who post things literally just to get a response.
Yeah.
And the problem is you're not going to always get the exact response that you desire.
Right.
No matter what you post. I can post, I love this presidential candidate. You're still going to have people that don't like it. You can say, I love this presidential candidate. You're still going to have people on the other side that don't like it. So no matter what you post, man, don't work for free. You're going to have some people that's going to go, you darn right, don't work for free. And then you're going to have some people that, well, maybe you should consider doing something free.
Right.
And so I don't even get into that anymore. I just post about very positive things. And again, my wife put me on to that. Like, don't do that. And her father said, don't give them an opportunity to pick apart what you're doing. I said, man, great advice. Great advice. You can't tell what's going on in my marriage other than I love my wife incredibly, which is the truth.
Right.
But if we have a hard day, like anybody else has a hard day,
right,
you ain't gonna know.
Yeah.
You're not gonna know, because I'm not gonna run. Everything is not for social media. It's just not. It's just not. You don't go and air out your spouse on social media. You are opening doors for all types of things to be affected.
Yep.
Let me tell you why I know. Because the young lady that I was with before I was with my wife was very public on social media.
I remember that.
About our issues. And it nearly cost me the opportunity to be on the Truth Music Tour with God Over Money. It nearly cost me that opportunity. I went for my first rehearsal.
But you weren't there maturity wise either.
No, we were, and again, that's about who you connect to. Because if you connect to somebody who's on a certain level, no matter where you are, you
Come
tend
down to that.
back
Yeah.
to that level. And so she posts a thing, I post a thing, she posts a thing, I post a thing. I have a limit, but she don't. Now all of a sudden, I get to the rehearsal. I'm meeting Bizzle. I'm meeting Selah. I'm meeting the dude from Hog Mob. I can't think of his name right now. But I'm meeting all these people, and then I get pulled into a room.
And everybody knows your business.
Everybody, they saying, "Look, hey man, such and such came across our pastor's desk, and we are now nervous about you being a part of this event." And if it wasn't for me being able to call my pastor and have him vouch for the things that just occurred and why this is being said, I wouldn't have had that opportunity, and would have been crushing. It literally would have been crushing, because at that point in time, I always wanted to meet Bizzle. I always, Seven, that's his name. Always wanted to meet Seven. I always wanted to meet those guys. Selah the Corner, all of that. I wanted to meet them, and that was my opportunity. And it could have been taken away because of who I was connected to at the time. Both of us were not mature enough to handle what God really had placed on my life and our life collectively. Because once you connect with someone, your life and their life becomes intertwined.
Right.
You know this, man. Like your wife has to support what you're doing.
Yeah.
In some way, even if it's all right, I'm gonna hold everything else down while he runs and go do what he needs to do. There has to be some level of support, because scripture is not mincing words when it says, how can two walk together unless they agree? You got to at least agree that it's okay for me to go and do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all got to come into some sort of agreement. So again, that's really important. My poet friends, even if you're not married, I'm not going to put you into that box. This ain't one of them conversations. But whoever you are connecting with, make sure you're connecting with the right type of people. Make sure your circle of friends is pushing you to fulfill your destiny. Because if they're not, you're running with the wrong circle of people. And that's not to say that they aren't good people or they weren't around for 10, 20, 30 years. But everybody should be pushing you towards your destiny in the same way that you should be trying to help push everyone else towards theirs.
Right. Yeah. Participate in somebody's dream.
Indeed. Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's major. People got to get that, man. But listen, they can rewind it. They can keep listening to it. If you don't get that because social media is so huge in life, it affects everything, period. Like not just your artistry, but your job or your potential job. That's what they're looking at now. They're not just looking at your resume. They're going on your Facebook page and your Instagram page and TikTok and all of that. And they're determining whether or not you're good for their company.
Indeed, because I got called from my pastor at one time because I had posted something, and he told me, take that down. Straight up. Take it down.
And look, it's not out of who is he to tell me that I can't stand that too.
Well, here's the funny thing.
Humble yourself. He's trying to help you.
You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. You can't say this is my pastor, who is the spiritual head of my life, and then turn around and say, who is he to tell? He's the spiritual head of your life. And
see,
if that man is in line and he is doing what he's supposed to do, and he's in line and it's all falling in literally the will of God and the order of God, you're the one out of place if who is he to tell me? That's crazy.
That go, I'm gonna tell you, and you know, it goes but so far with most people in the church. That I'm gonna let him preach to me, but he ain't gonna come to me. He ain't gonna come at me and say I can't marry John or Susie. You know, this is my life and this, that, and the third. And you know, they'll go through the process, they'll do the counseling, but if the pastor says, no, I don't think you should marry him or marry her now, right?
The problem. You know what I'm learning?
Wedding is next week.
What I'm learning is that mentorship is necessary.
Yeah.
Me and my wife have a mentor couple, and it's so funny because even in our mid 30s, we believe that we got a good handle on life because we have experienced a lot. And it was one certain topic, I won't expound upon the topic, but there was one certain topic that we were pretty certain that we got this covered. Like, we know this. And so we had a conversation with our mentor couple, and she, no, I won't put names out, but she said, I want you to think about this because I don't want you to regret it. And when she said it, we looking at each other like, oh, she don't know what she's talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because we got this covered. We
good over here.
Yeah, we got this. And lo and behold, man, like 2 weeks later, we're having a conversation, and we literally was like, yeah, she might have been right about that.
Right.
Because we might not want to regret this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe we should listen to people who are full of wisdom and can live longer than us. Because if we think we've seen a lot in 35 years, what you think they done seen in 55 years?
Yeah.
In 75 years? They done seen it all. And they're just trying, if they love you enough to try to impart something into you, the very least you can do is consider it. I'm not saying you got to do everything someone else tells you to do, but at least consider it.
Right.
Consider that you haven't been living longer than them, and that's probably why they're your mentor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
You stand out the gate because your poetry, yes, has purpose, but your poems are very direct and are longer than most poems.
Yeah.
Why do you take the approach of having longer poems when your poems are like 8 to 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, well, you just tell me. I was going to suggest some things, but go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, no problem. So when I write a piece, I don't stop until it feels complete. And somewhere around, I guess, the 3 to 4 minute mark, my pieces never feel complete. My shortest piece is 5 minutes and like 27 seconds.
Which one is that?
That's only the beginning.
Okay.
It's my shortest piece. And that ended up that way because once I got to the final part of that, it felt complete. The piece I did at your church, I did that piece and it wasn't complete, and I tried to run it past my wife. She wasn't even my wife at that point in time. This is where I we should have knew that we were supposed to be married and all of that. Like, we just, but either way, that's a story for another day. I went and did that piece for her, and it was the first time, and I think the only time in my life that I did a piece and somebody said, that was okay. And I was distraught, Chris.
You don't hear that. You don't, that's
not
something you hear.
Listen, I said, I was distraught.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What does okay mean?
It was just okay. I never heard that before. I had a whole conniption. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I said, you know what? I said, God, I don't want nobody else to tell me that. I went back to the school because I came to see her on my lunch break, did the piece, went back to the school so I can finish teaching. The class that was supposed to come to me did not come. So I had the rest of the time, I started getting lines from the Spirit on how to really finish this piece. And it was the piece that you heard that night for the Easter event. The real Easter.
It sounds like you do research.
Oh, big time. Because I never want anybody to come up to me in a sermon, in a Bible study, in a conference setting, seminar, or spoken word piece and go, that's not accurate. You're never going to get that from me. If I say scripture says, dun, 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 it's because I done read that about 4, 5, 6, 7,000 times, and I know that's exactly what it says.
Your poems are not just poems. Your poems are sermons, not just because of the length, but because of the content and the substance.
Amen. And that's the thing. I write until it first of all speaks to me, and then once it speaks to me, which all sermons should, then it's able to go and be given out to whoever has the ear to hear it. Because don't be fooled, poets out there. Everybody in the room ain't gonna feel your piece. Not everybody. You're gonna have some people that's crying about your piece because they feel it so deeply, and you got somebody in the corner that's like, can we get to the next person? It's gonna happen because it's not for everybody. Even scripture says that. They said, well, why can't we understand? Why can't they understand the parables? And Christ says, everybody isn't privileged to hear. And it could be the same person with the same piece, not feel it one time, and then go through something in their life, and then all of a sudden feel it.
They can relate then.
Oh my goodness. It's crazy. It's just crazy because the pieces have so much in them, thanks to God, that I've had people tell me, I didn't heard that piece multiple times, but today I heard this line and it helped me through this situation. And I'm like, man, that's a blessing because I think the same way about the Bible. I'll be reading the Bible.
Right.
And I know I didn't read through it from front to back multiple times, but I will run across every now and then that one verse and you go, man, that just changed. I didn't even know that was there.
Right.
Or I never even looked at it that way.
Right.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same as when you buy a new car, you think you can be the only one on the street driving it. But as soon as you get on the road, everybody got that car.
You see it all the time. It's crazy because I've lived that too. Matter of fact, something as simple as you guys know, I'm the wrestling coach at Loyola Blakefield.
Right.
Before I became the coach at Loyola Blakefield, I didn't even know Loyola Blakefield existed. Funny thing is, now that I've been there, everywhere I go, I see that little yellow and blue L everywhere. I was just eating lunch with my wife yesterday, and she started pointing. I turn around like, what she? It's a Loyola L on some van that just sitting there. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
I see that with Bishop McNamara.
Yes.
High school.
They down in your area. Yes, they're a private school down in your area.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that magnet because it's a magnet. I think it's a magnet or it's a bumper.
Yeah.
I think it's
typically a magnet.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that for the Poet Life.
Dope.
Yeah, for the Poet Life logo, I'm gonna do that, and really, I might just like give them out, or sell it for $1 or something like that, just to spread it and have that, because that's so powerful. Because when you see that, you be like, that's validation and confirmation that school is, because you're not gonna put that on your car if you don't support it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, not only is
I'll be in another state and I'll see Bishop McNamara magnet on somebody's car. I'm like, okay, all right.
Where you from? You know, how do you? And it's the same thing. They know that it's not only talking about reputation, but it is the easiest way to advertise. So right now, I have on a Bold Life shirt.
Right.
The reason why I have on a Bold Life shirt is because my wife and I are brand ambassadors for this company. Cedric and Lakeisha Wallace owns this company. They are getting ready to open. God, man, this is incredible. Get ready to open their first store, and I'm looking forward to that. He called me about it 2 nights ago. Said, man, that word you spoken to me about you see us having a store, I was trying to encourage them, like, keep going. Now they got a store.
Keep growing.
So it's going to be, they're just growing. And I said, man, that's awesome. But everyone sees me in this shirt all the time, to the point where people actually think
I thought it was
that
yours.
they think it's my brand. Someone called me one time Mr. Bold Life, and I was like, like that. No, that's not my brand. I appreciate it, but it's not my brand, you know. But at the same time, I agree with this brand. Now I wear it, my wife wears it, my children wear it because of what it symbolizes.
What it stands for. Yeah.
I go places, people of all different ethnicities see
Yeah.
this cross and they ask, well, what is that about?
Yeah.
Now it's a conversation starter.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what it's about. You see that Bishop McNamara, you see that Loyola L. And if we in a parking lot and we jump out together, hey man, roll Dawn's roll.
Yeah.
Real simple thing. That's our motto at Loyola
Yeah.
Breakthrough.
See, that's why I started Poet Life Gear, man, because, you know, you can't have an industry without having representation. Like
Indeed.
sports, right? All of the teams have paraphernalia and right. And so whatever team that might be your favorite team, it might be. But the poet, they don't really have one, they don't have a uniform. You know, rappers have a uniform. Their uniform is chains and
Yeah.
you can tell that they're a rapper, right?
Right.
The singer gets up there. I don't know. It's nothing specific, but you can, you know, you can tell that they dressed up for their performance. But
Indeed.
the poet doesn't have that yet, right? The poet doesn't have lyrics on their shirt from their poem or somebody else's and says that they're a poet. Like when I'm out and, oh man, you're a poet. And I'll forget that I have this on. I'm like, how did you know that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
You become a walking billboard.
Indeed.
And if you're asking, how can I get gigs? Well, what if you wore something that says that you're a poet?
Indeed. And people will then go, you know what? I need a poet for my birthday party.
Period.
I've done so many birthday parties.
Yeah.
So many engagements.
It's like the question, how do people know that you're a Christian?
Indeed.
That's your uniform is your behavior.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
And what you speak about. But
how you carry yourself.
How you carry yourself. But as a poet, you can have some gear on, whether it's a bracelet, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a hat. I'm at a restaurant and it was a waiter just started spitting a poem. I was like, what are you doing? I want my food. But he saw the Poet Life hat and I was like, okay, all right, yeah, go ahead. You know, yeah. I had to play that part. You know what I'm saying? I was like, bring my food out though. Yeah. You know, but because, you know, he doesn't know who I am. I could be, you know, and I am somebody, you know, but representation, you know, it's how can you incorporate representation into your lifestyle that will then enhance your affordabilities?
And here's the thing, what you do is every aspect of your life, you let people know what you're about. And again, your representation on your shirt.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, I have this on, people know what I'm about. And then it lines up to what is on my social media. It's not just Christian. No. But you know I'm about family.
Right.
You know I'm about my wife. Right. I'm about my kids.
Yeah.
You know that I love teaching. You know that I'm a scholar. Those are the things, you know how I carry. So that lines up with this. And then once you meet me in person, you go, oh, okay. This guy legit.
That's perfect with what you said, because it's all about perspective, right? Social media is and should be the opportunity for you to present who you are.
Indeed.
It's an opportunity. It's not just social media. It's an opportunity for you to choose what you want people to say you are.
Yeah, because they will form an opinion based upon your social media and
reality
your interactions with them. Because That can be different too. You can have all these wonderful things on social media, and then someone has an in-person interaction with you, and now, oh, your life don't line up with what you putting on social media. And again, this whole world, and it started a little while ago. This whole world began looking for something authentic at some point in time. I can't tell you when it happened, but suddenly it happened. And even in the secular world, it was all about like what rappers are real. Even if they talking about the wrong things, I want to know that he's really doing that, really living that lifestyle. And it's the same way for us. Do you really love your craft like that? When you go and spit that poem and you say, man, I didn't read every word in the dictionary just so I can make sure that you have a full understanding. Can I tell that by the content that you deliver? Can I tell that by the way you speak? Or when you type on, is it grammatically correct? Because you can't be in a dictionary all the time and you can't spell or know the difference between two, and two.
I can't stand the posts that have no punctuation. I cannot stand.
Where do I start? Where do I stop? Where do I take a pause? I don't know, so I don't read it. Just don't read it.
Yeah.
I can't. There's no punctuation here. I'm all right. If I want to uncode like something, then I'll play like, Scrabble or word search or what's that? Those word finds.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't want to decode what you're saying.
Well, let me ask you about Brevity, right? Because there is an opportunity that I had for you where my client, they need that you only had 5 minutes to your set, but you were still able to deliver and concisely, I guess, present the same poem, but in a shorter manner.
Yes. And that's another thing that I'm encouraging all poets to be able to do. Make a piece that is so potent. It's potent whether it's in full, it's potent whether it's 75%, it's potent whether it's 50%. Because you're going to get into industry engagements where you have to modify it, especially when you start talking about going into television spots.
Right.
When I was on the Word Network,
right,
I had to do a call to action. A call to action is an over 10-minute piece. They told me, Chris, you have 3 minutes to deliver this piece. And so guess what Chris did? Chris found the best parts to still convey the message, put them down together, put little lines in between the pieces that I broke apart to make it actually flow into it and make sense. Pulled out my stopwatch. Yep, that's 2 minutes and 58 seconds. This is going to work because the content isn't watered down. If it's an apple pie, it's an apple pie. If it's a whole pie, a half a pie, or a slice of pie.
See, that's how I knew I could call you for that. That's how I knew. And again, there are a plethora of amazing poets, but there are only a few that are professional enough that are able to do that and are willing to do that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I have to deliver what is being asked of me. If we were actors, and in a way we can be, if we were actors, and the role is for you to be a certain way, you can't tell the director, well, I actually think the role should be like this.
Or I only do it this way.
Yeah, not well, guess what? You're not going to have that gig. They're going to give it to someone else who's able to give them exactly what they're asking for. And you want to have that versatility. Again, if your piece is dope, it don't matter. You're going to be able to cut it down and it still be dope. Now, if you can't, here's the thing. Here's the challenge. That's where you begin to improve and elevate.
And yes.
Like, okay, all right, I want to write a piece that no matter what length they ask me for it to be, I can work with it. And there's been times where I've even been told, okay, you got 3 minutes, and I go, all right, can I get 5? Can you give me an extra 2 just to make this work?
Got it.
Okay, yeah, we can give you 5 minutes.
Got it.
And then let me tell you the funny thing, man, about that. A lot of times that happens when people don't know you. I've been in certain situations where I've been given a time limit, and once I start, no one even cares how long it's gone at that point.
Right.
It's like,
because they're all in. They're like,
at that point in time, it's like, what is this? I've been in a situation where I've been told you got 5 minutes. I'm doing the piece, I cut it, I'm getting ready to leave the stage. They're like, nah, actually, we would like for you to do another one. Yeah, nah, you can't just leave like that. Can you give us enough? Like, oh, okay, cool. And again, that's your gift making room for you in all types of arenas. But with your gift making room for you, you got to cultivate your gift. You got to put your all into your gift.
Your gifts have to be your lifestyle, period.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of God giving it to you? Period. Like, if you're just gonna hobby your gift, he's gonna be like, I'll take that. I'll take that from you. And you'll be like,
because again, the parable of the sower, it's real simple. It's not that hard. I gave you the parable of the talents.
Right.
Here it is. It says, I gave you this, I gave you this, I gave you this. I gave you 1, I gave you 2, I gave you 5. I'm giving these to you so that you may bring back a return on this. If you hobby it out, there's no return coming back. It's just like you taking it and hiding it. It's going, okay, well, I don't really want this to help anyone else. So, or I'm just doing this, as a lot of people say, they get caught up on this. I just do this for me. Or I do this for culture. And it's like, that's cool. And I'm not saying that you have to, if you want to stay on that level, then do that. I'm not telling you have to do, because some people really just want to go to open mics and let their feelings out and do it in hopefully an excellent way. And that's okay. But I thought this conversation was about people who are trying to turn this into a career, a business, a business model.
Yeah.
And if that's what we're talking about, then you got to reconsider how you carry yourself in a professional manner.
Because you'll get the hobbyers. I'm gonna say hobbyers, it's not a word, but you'll get the hobbyers, but then they'll limit themselves to the hobby, to it being a hobby, but then they'll get upset that no one calls them to perform.
Indeed.
And even at an open mic to feature.
I was just thinking that, like, then you get upset that you don't get the opportunities that other people get. And here's another thing. Let me go ahead and say this. Please be happy for every opportunity that every other person gets. You know this, Chris. I don't care who it is. I don't care what you're talking about. If it's positive and you're saying this is helping you, fitness, business, anything, I put underneath your post, #WayUp.
Right.
No matter what it is. Because I always want you to know that I want to be encouraging to anything that you are trying to do to elevate yourself.
Yeah.
I will never, and I mean never, ever comment something negatively underneath someone's post. I can see your post and be thinking, oh, that's crazy. But you're not going to catch me telling you, hey, bro, that's crazy. If I know you well enough, I will call you.
Right.
Hey, Chris, I don't know about that, bro.
Right.
But not openly on social media. The only thing you're going to get from me on social media is positivity.
Yeah.
The only thing.
Your
so
hashtag way up.
Encourage others.
Yeah. Your hashtag way up is the equivalent. the equivalent of my keep climbing. That's what I post.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely, man. Man, you know, you and I, we can be talking for 10 hours straight, man. And I can appreciate this conversation. And you know, one of the reasons why I started this podcast is to allow the conversations to happen. These type of conversations, I won't say they don't happen, but not often enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I liken it to something, and again, I keep bringing her up because I love her so much, I guess. My wife, right?
Yeah.
We do this thing where we sow into our marriage, whether it's through Marriage 365, whether it's through doing devotionals, whether it's through quarterly marriage maintenance, whether it's through date nights. We have the hard conversations because we know these conversations are not happening often enough
Right.
for people around us. And if we don't have these conversations, then we run the risk of being just like some of the things or some of the people that we see around us. I liken what you just said to that, because if we don't have these types of conversations, then it's not even a possibility in the mind of the poet that this can happen.
Yeah.
This is why I love the fact that Wendell Shannon is putting a book together. It's a book, and it's a very primary level book, numbers, letters, but it's using African American children to illustrate each thing: a senator, a governor, a president. Like, until children even see or hear that they can be these things, there's no possibility of even doing that. And so this conversation is relevant because until poets see and hear that this can be more than just something that you do for just your enjoyment, because you still want it to be enjoyable.
Right.
I love doing what I do. And I only do what I love doing so that work doesn't feel like work to me. I'm a PE teacher because I love it. It doesn't feel like work to me. I'm a wrestling coach because I love it. It don't feel like work to me. I minister through spoken word and use my ability to orate, to preach and teach and speak because I love that. It don't feel like work to me. And your gift should not feel like work to you. Does your gift bring a certain burden? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But typically that burden is to shape you up, to strengthen you, to sharpen who you are. Again, we can't carry the gifts that we have and be any old type of way.
Yeah.
We just can't.
Yeah.
Because of the burden of the gift.
Majorly. I choose not to be a performance poet because the performance part, the memorizing part, all of that is work to me. That's not the fun part for me. I started out, because that's what I thought I had to do to be a poet, but that's the best part about poetry is you don't have to do it all one way.
So many forms, so many ways to deliver it.
I write
I think that's one of the things that people like about me, because there is a certain stereotypical sound.
Right.
And I'm stereotypical because it's what people outside the poetry community would consider poetry to be. And
right.
So when I've been to so many events where they say, well, we're going to have this guy come up, give poetry. And you can almost see the eyes begin to roll like, man, I'm not here for this.
Right.
And then I open my mouth.
I give you this
and
work.
I present it the way that God has given it to me to present. And then all of a sudden, you see some minds change, some of them,
Right.
and it's like, oh, is that poetry? Is it rap? Is he preaching? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Well, there's so many ways. You don't have to do it like me
Right.
to be effective. Do it the way you do it.
Right.
Just be 100% dedicated to how you're doing it, and people will notice. I promise.
That's good. That's good. Listen, folks, if you don't know who Chris Jones is, go to his website, poetrywithapurpose.com. Go to his social media, Instagram and Twitter, which is I am Chris Jones, the number 2. This conversation, I knew I would have fun with this conversation, man. You know, we were supposed to have this conversation Friday night, but I'm so glad we had it this morning, Saturday morning, because, you know, we're both refreshed and everything. We're not tired, you know, and it really is going to get my day started. When I leave here, I'm going to, you know, jump on my bike and ride. But now I have so much energy, and I'm excited about the way up, the way forward.
Yeah.
And where did you get that? Let me ask you real quick. It's way with 3 A's, right?
Yes.
Why way up?
It's so funny because when I when I first came up with that, the song
All the way up.
All the Way Up was coming out. And people thought I got it from there. And
Okay.
I'm like, no, that ain't it. And then Kanye came out with a song, Kanye and Big Sean. I'm way up.
Okay, got it.
I didn't get it from there. I got it from my very favorite artist, Drake.
Okay.
At the beginning of a song on If You're Reading This, Then It's Too Late.
Got it.
He says, way, way, way up. And the way he said it, I said, man, that's how I want to carry myself. Like a mindset that's above all of the foolishness. And that's really what Way Up is about. It's a mindset. It's a state of being. It's like, yo, I'm way up in my finances. I'm way up in my education. I'm way up in encouraging others. I'm just above just mediocrity. It's not me being above you. I want you to be way up with me. And so that's why I put way up underneath everybody. You doing something, you way up, and you way up. Right. It's like Oprah, and you get a way up, and you get a way up. Everybody get a way up, because I want everybody up here.
Yeah, I want everybody to win, man.
Indeed, that's it.
It's so lonely climbing.
Yeah,
it just is. You know, I don't want to say it's lonely at the top, because I don't want to like say I'm at the top right now. Like that's why I always say to people, like you say, way up, I say keep climbing. You know, because I don't care if you think what you do is the best, keep climbing.
Yeah, there's always levels.
There isn't a destination. It's a journey.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing, man.
Keep enhancing, keep climbing, keep going, man. Keep growing.
I love the fact that we can always improve ourselves. So right now I'm doing that through education. I'm getting my master's degree because I want to improve myself in other areas. And at the same time, it's still going to give me even more credibility in the poet realm, because it says, look, man, I honor education. I'm able to, like you said, it sounds like you study.
Right.
Yep, I study. And I have the propensity to study. If I have a master's degree, that means I didn't went above and beyond to get an advanced degree. So if I'm gonna put that type of work into academia, I'm definitely gonna put that type of work into my craft. So I know it's gonna work both ways. It's gonna help, man. Even when the bio is being read before I preach and things of that nature, it says proud graduate of Morgan State University. Pretty soon, I'm going to send to my executive assistant in spring 21.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to put in there proud graduate of Goucher College with a master's in education.
Yeah.
That's coming up. We got to change the bio, baby. We got to change the bio. Yeah. But again, that lets even the listeners know I should anticipate a different level of something, because he's put in the time.
Right.
for his craft. He's gone above and beyond. Oh, he spoke on this platform, that platform. Oh, let me listen up.
Right.
That's why that's there. Oh, Word Network, National Baptist Convention. It's to let people know, hey, God has blessed me with these opportunities because somebody saw fit to align with his will to invite me. Maybe you will get something that is worthwhile from what I'm about to give out.
In a nutshell, people, take your craft serious. Again, I don't care if there's one person in there. Don't take your art down to it just being one person. Take it up to making it seem like there's 1,000 people in there. Make that one person feel like they're the only one in the room, even though they might be.
Listen, there's one person in the room that matters most if you are of the faith, and that's God. Scripture literally says that you do not do your service unto men, but unto God. And I've had wild, crazy sessions all by myself, just me and God, and we in the room, and I'm getting chills, and I can't believe he gave me that line to come off of that line. I'm like, what? No, that's crazy. And I'm saying it over and over again. And we just having that whole moment, we communing. And before I know it, the piece is done. And it's just like, I know it's going to be crazy because it was crazy to me first. Because there's no way I could have did that by myself. It was wild to me. So I can't wait to go give it out to somebody else, man, to see if they can grab just something from it too. Can't wait.
Bigger purpose, bigger reason, bigger why, more than just poetry.
Yeah.
More than just metaphors, more than just bars. It has to be deeper than that. It's deeper than poetry, man. Look, everybody, we just had fun, man. You know, because again, we can do this all day. But we'll reconnect. I have more opportunities that I need, not just I want Chris, but I need Chris for, because again, Chris stands out and he can deliver what most of my clients are asking for. So think of it like that. You know, be top of mind when people think of poetry. When people think, if they know me, when people think of poetry, even though I don't perform, they think of me.
Indeed.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I live it.
Indeed.
You know, I do this weekly, sometimes twice and 3 times. But there's also the Poet Life Gear, Poet Life Academy. This is a lifestyle. That's why it's called Poet Life. That's why what he's wearing is bold life, because he lives a bold life. So if you're trying to take something to the next level, you have to make it a lifestyle and not just a hobby. So we're going to leave it off right there, man. Chris, if you have anything to leave the people, what would you say, man?
Man, just echoing your sentiments. We talked about it before, and we talked about it during, and this is just wrapping it up. You know, literally, guys, when you are talking about taking your craft to the next level, add a level of professionalism, make everything add up to that. Go get you a business card. Go and make moves that put you in a place where you begin to look professional. Get your website, spend some money on yourself. You got to invest in yourself before anyone else wants to invest in you.
It's called investing in yourself. Yes.
Another lesson I had to learn. I walked around with CDs that were kind of cheaply put together for a long time. And then again, my wife said, yo, you need to step that up. And it wasn't until I was at an event with a young lady who was just as good at what she did. She was a violinist, and she was just as good at what she did as what I did. But she had much better presentation once we came out to the tables. And I said, my wife was right. I need to spend some money. It's going to cost $800, $900, $1,000 sometimes to get these CDs done. But if you see the packaging for whole, if you see the fact that along with the packaging for whole, it was put digitally on every platform. I can say to Alexa right now, Alexa, play The Real Easter by Chris Jones. Alexa will go through and start playing my piece. That's professionalism. When someone said, where can I find you? You don't just send them a YouTube link. Tell them, go to my website. You got to spend that money. Invest in yourself. And once people see that you are willing to invest in yourself, then they are much more comfortable investing in you.
That's it right there.
Yes, sir.
That's it right there. People will pay you more because it's not just a check now. It's an investment into what you have already invested in yourself.
Yeah.
But if it's a hobby, I'm not investing in a hobby.
You're right.
What investors are investing in hobbies?
That's perfect.
ROI.
That's ridiculous. Ain't nobody investing in no hobbies. Warren Buffett is not going to invest in your hobby. Man, that's good, Chris.
Your mother's not going to invest in your hobby.
That's even more dope.
Hey, look, all right, let me go here, then we'll end.
Your mother not going to invest in your hobby. She not.
Because look, we get mad when our family does not support or push or share, or it's because they don't see that you've invested in this craft or in this business that you said you're going to start.
Like you said, you don't take it seriously.
They want to know that you're taking it serious, because they're not going to put their name, their share, their like on something that's just going to be fly by night.
Mm-hmm.
Notice your family hops on when you start to make some moves. There are some family members that hop on when the money comes. Yes, there are. But for the most part, people want to see that you're serious about what you're doing, man. And so if I see that you're going to get business cards, if I see that you're getting better with, your poem, your song, your rap, whatever it might be, and I see that you're putting the time in. If you won't even invest the time, why would I invest my money?
Yeah, it's crazy. Time is money. And if you're not putting in no time, you shouldn't be expecting no money. It's real simple. It's real simple.
Look, man, I'm going to give you your Saturday back. I'm going to go hop on this bike, ride a few miles, say hi to your family.
Indeed.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening, watching, and reading the Poet Life podcast. This has been another amazing episode. And like he said, go to our website, thepoetlife.com. Go to Chris Jones's website. Say it again one more time.
Poetrywithapurpose.com. Once again, poetrywithapurpose.com.
And when I tell you, you need to go there like right now and go just experience, not just listen and hear. Go experience his poetry, because he's one of one. You'll see what I'm saying. Go check him out. Poetrywithapurpose.com. Check us out, thepoetlife.com. We appreciate you. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, man, I appreciate you, bro.
All right. You do the same, man. Go ride well. I'm sure when you post about it, I'm going to post way up.
There we go.
All right, man. See you later.
We'll talk, all right?
All right.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way.